Trump Derangement Syndrome, TDS. The liberal leftist media, Democrats, and rhinos are not the only ones to blame. By Danzel Monk Sr. So now thankfully Donald Trump has won the election, in spite of all of the devious, spiteful, hateful, and dishonest lies told on him and about him, and in spite of the few honest and accurate criticisms of his comments. There is plenty of blame to go around when discussing the unprofessional manner that political opponents have been going after each other here in America for far too many years. And that is indeed a discussion that needs to be had. But unprofessional language is the least of our problems as a nation, when there are so many who practice devious tactics and openly and willingly lie to the public, and so many in the public so willingly believe those lies and allow them to not only distort their thinking, but to infect their behavior. Add to that the tragic revelation we now are seeing, by watching the meltdowns of so many media culprits who were directly responsible for the deceptions, and the effects their lies have on those suffering from TDS, and their unwillingness to accept responsibility for what they did, blaming everyone and everything else except themselves, and you should get a good idea of just the kind of mess we have allowed ourselves to become as a nation. The liberal left media liars are the main culprits. Without a doubt the greatest blame for the TDS madness that has overrun our nation, can be placed on the liberal leftist media persons who have for years relentlessly published and promoted outright lies about and on Donald Trump and many of those who support him. And they all should be held accountable by the public for their lies. MSNBC's Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, Jake Tapper, Morning Joe, Jen Psaki, Nicole Wallace, Lawrence O'Donnell, Stephanie Ruhle, Alex Wagner, Chris Hayes, Art Melber, and others from the other leftist news networks. CNN's Dana Bash, Jake Tapper, Chris Wallace, Lerua Coates, Victor Blackwell, Bakery Sellers, Abby Phillip and many more. As I said, demonstrations, orderly and peacefully of course, should be held outside their network buildings, with signs describing their lies and demanding that they admit to the public that they deceived them. And any conservative or Republican guests that are unfortunate enough to be invited to their programs, should make it their business to first confront them on their past lies, and point out any lies that they are sure to tell while doing the interview. If we allow them to get away with such behavior, we only encourage more of the same. Granted, many are already showing they are fed up with the lies, as subscribers in large numbers are dumping liberal leftist social media influencers, and the ratings of leftist liberal legacy media like CNN, and MSDNC, MSNBC are tanking so much that their owners are offering them up for sale. But that is not enough. The public must make it clear to such people, that we will not tolerate being lied to and manipulated as pawns in their dirty information wars. The Democrats, rhinos and Hollywood celebs who made full use of the leftists' liberal media. The liberal leftist media are not alone in their guilt, because they would not have been so effective in their manipulation of many in the public, had it not been for the help they got from many Democrats, rhinos, and Hollywood celebrities who regularly appeared on their programs to deliver and or reinforce the lies. President Biden has his share of the blame, but since he has received at least some retribution from his own team by way of a soft coup, launched by Obama, Pelosi, and other powers within the Democratic Party, in which Biden was kicked out of the running for re-election, and given the fact of his declining mental state, which by the way VP Kamala Harris, the Democrats, and lying leftist liberal media all continually gaslight the public about, until it was exposed during Biden's debate with Trump. It would be a waste of time trying to get him to remember what he did. But Kamala Harris is not so lucky. She must be held accountable for her many offenses during her run for president. From her horrible waste of campaign funds for which she is apparently now in hot water with her donors, her paying so-called democracy-loving celebrities like Oprah Winfrey $1 million, and paying over $100,000 for a small temporary set for a Call Her Daddy interview, to her atrocious verbal attacks on and lies about Donald Trump, calling him a threat to democracy, a Hitler lover, unstable and regularly repeating other lies about what Trump was supposed to have said. Tim Walz, in lockstep with Kamala Harris, continued the litany of lying on and about Trump, among other things, like lying about his personal accomplishments in the military, stolen valor, his claimed presence at Tiananmen Square in 1989, and his horrible policies and conduct as governor of Minnesota. D.L. Hughley, Yolanda Adams, Cardi B, Beyoncé, Magic Johnson, and so many others will have to be challenged on their support for Kamala Harris, and their willingness to believe the lies of the liberal leftist. Just acting like they were being intelligent, honest, and sound in their judgment by doing so, and have no accountability for inaccurately portraying Trump, and whitewashing Kamala Harris will not get it. To allow them to skate by is not in the best interest of our nation. If truth, honesty, and integrity is only demanded of Trump and not Harris and company, then all who supported Harris against Trump because they believe that Trump is dishonest, are being hypocritical to say the least. Exploring this will require another article. Willing intellectual garbage disposals. In spite of the many sources of false information in media and among family and friends, we are still accountable for what we choose to allow to influence us and affect our thinking and feelings. It is our obligation to carefully evaluate information sources, to correctly determine their level of reliability and integrity. We should never accept what we see and hear in the media or anywhere else without carefully confirming its integrity. To just accept it and repeat and defend it without first establishing it as truth, is not only unwise, but it is unrighteous. And that kind of carelessness, make us a part of the cultural madness that has now dominated our society. Viewer personal accountability is just as responsible. This is gonna hurt a little, but those who willingly accepted the lies that the left liberal media was, and is, serving to their viewers, must be held accountable for their carelessness. To seek to blame Trump, your family, friends, white women, black men, Latinos, racism, misogyny, or aliens from out of space for the division, confusion and hard times economy we are dealing with, is simply dishonest. And to blame anyone other than yourself for the hate or dislike you feel for Trump and those who support him, is not only wrong, it is unintelligent. Because it was your choice to believe what you were seeing and hearing on your choice of news and entertainment, and it was your choice to promote and defend those lies. In essence, you were the one who contributed to your current state of mind. By simply accessing conservative media, you could have informed yourself about what was true and what was false that was coming from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, The View, Roland Martin, The Breakfast Club, The New York Times, and all of the other leftist sources, but you chose not to, or you chose not to believe what conservative commentators were telling you because you chose to trust the leftist media. That choice is on you, and you cannot justly blame anyone else for how that choice has affected your thinking and feelings. It is our obligation to do our best to obtain the most accurate information on any issue, and it is only pride that prevents us from acknowledging when we blew it. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21, the Apostle Paul instructs believers to prove all things, and hold fast that which is good. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 16 Peter says that being eyewitness, helps us to not follow cunningly devised fables. In other words, don't be so willing to accept what others say, but check it out for yourself. In the Gospel of John chapter 3 verse 11 Jesus puts it this way, quote, "We speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen," unquote. Meaning that we don't just take the words of others, we do our own investigation and make sure we get the best facts. In Ephesians chapter 5 verse 6, Paul tells us that we are not to let people talk us into thinking a certain way by their use of vain words. He says, quote, "Let no man deceive you with vain words," unquote. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 13, he cautioned, quote, "Be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners," unquote. Meaning we must be aware of how what we accept as truth that is false, can negatively affect our behavior. In Colossians chapter 2 verse 8 he warns, quote, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ," unquote. In other words, do not allow anyone to convince you to think and act contrary to what Jesus taught. So now the question is, Will you continue to pretend that Trump and his supporters are the evil that must be stood against, or will you step back and carefully evaluate what has happened to you? Will you re-examine your news sources that put you in your state of mind, as many are now doing, or will you dig in and continue to blame Trump and his supporters for all the problems we are facing as a nation? The choice is yours. I will continue to love those who foolishly believe the lies, no matter how rude and unfriendly they are towards me. Why? Because my love for them is not predicated upon whom they voted for or support politically. My love for them is based on my love for Jesus Christ. When the election was taken in 2020, I did not fall out with those who voted for Biden and Harris because my friendship and love was not based on their politics. It will be interesting to see how my Biden and Harris supporting family and friends will act towards me now.